So this doesn't make very good viewing. This is my Roadkill Rabbit. As you can see, driving through the country lanes, there is wildlife everywhere. This just run in front of my car and I had to stop, put it out of its misery, and I'm like, you know, I'm not going to waste this. So, yeah, he's been writhing around in the mud. They are so hard, these creatures, you know. It had a broken front leg and it still crawled away and like lay there in pain. So I did the right thing, and now I'm going to take it even further. So I won't show you this bit. I'm going to get the jacket off and then we'll see what it's like underneath. Okay, my friends, it's safe to say Bunnykins has looked better. I mean, it was in hell of a state when I got to it. You know, I'm not expecting much here. Took it out of its fur. It's been in the fridge for a few days, maybe a few 2 days, many, but I'm determined to make something of it. But it's not looking good at this very moment in time. So whatever we can glean off it will be a bonus. Right, let's see what we got. So I'm thinking, let's get rid of that. Just like a classic breaking down. I can see maybe there's bruising in the loin here. So, you know, until we get in there, we don't really know. So just take one loin fillet off. And for as bad as it looks on the outside, we may be lucky on the inside. Such a small rabbit, bless it. So shattered bones everywhere. It was definitely the right thing to do. Stop, put it out of its misery. I mean, as you can see, the meat there is quite dark. Right, I don't think there's enough on those hocks to worry about. Might be a bit too much. Oh, might be a bit too much damage in these legs. Let's have a look. Just go through it. So quite a bit of trauma there. Let's get rid of that. Give that a wipe. I'm just looking to get whatever I can out of it, really. So if I can get enough for a little stew. I mean, at the end of the day, this is roadkill. Not so much roadkill, more harikari. You know, it legged it in front of my car. There was nothing I could do about it. So yeah, not looking so bad now. Just separating those primals. So not the world's biggest portion by any mean, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some water, get some salt in there, get these steeping in there overnight, see if we can change this up a bit, and then I think the best thing we can do is get it in the pot with some veg and stew it. Like I said, I am determined that we're going to make good. Watch this space. So this is a super simple cleansing solution. Just some Nice cold water. Get about a tablespoon of salt in. Give it a swish. Give it a swish around, and we're going to get our bits of rabbit in there. And what this will do is we'll draw out any blood, any of the impurities, and hopefully by tomorrow it will be looking tickety-boo. So take a note of what that water looks like now, and then tomorrow I guarantee you it ain't gonna look so pretty. But it's all part of the journey. Put that light back on. So our little roadkill rabbit has been seeping overnight in that salt water. You can see how much gunk comes out of it, for want of a better term. So what I need to do is take these chunks out. And give them a wash in some nice fresh cold water. That one hasn't survived very well, that piece. Get some more of this roll. Some clean water in a bowl. And get our pieces in. Give them a little swill. Give them a little bath up. Don't think we'll bother with that bit. Get rid of that skanky water. And this is what we got to play with. So I think what we'll do is just knock up a classic rabbit stew. So I'm just trimming these up. That's all I'm doing at the moment. So they're all pretty much the same size. And what this water does is it releases all the sinew, all the skin. So we'll have that off, and that's what we're left to play with. So we give that a dry off, get all the ingredients and start cooking it. You can see, peel it off. We ain't done too bad. Right, let's get that drying off while I get all the other bits of kit needed for this wonderful roadkill stew. Okay then, so classic ingredients for a rabbit stew. Chunks of meat, dripping or lard to brown said meat in. Then the usual suspects, bacon lardons, sliced onions, some swede, some carrots, and I'm going to live on the edge and put some parsnip in, a tin of tomatoes, some good stock, and of course some of the finest apple champagne, all served out of this very cool rabbit bowl, dish, terrine, whatever you want to call it. But the first thing we need to do, and we're going to try and cook it in here in the SRP HQ, is brown off our meat. So in this bag I've got a mixture of plain flour, Coleman's mustard powder, you know the drill, salt and pepper. Give that a shufty, get my meat in, get it nicely coated, and get this browning off in a pan. One nice pan. One nice, what's the word? Blob of dripping, shimmering nicely in the light. So what we need to do then is dust off the excess flour off our rabbit and get it in the pan. Oh, you can't beat an uneven pan. So we want to get some good colour on this then. because that colour is also flavour, and the flour will help to thicken the sauce. Righty ho, so Bunnykins is looking a lot better than it did. Beautiful, nicely browned. Get them in my pot. Next, I want to get those bacon, you know what, I can't speak, so I'm getting older. I can't even string a sentence together. Get my bacon lardons in, get those nice and crispy, release a bit of that bacon fat, all adds towards the end product, and I'm going to get me onions in and all. So, added a little colour to the onions. I can get them in the pot. Continue just gently cooking off beautiful bacon. So you could easily cook this on a campfire in one of those pots or Dutch ovens. So we just leave that at the front on most of the heat. Then what I'm going to do is just put my veg in the back. What we're trying to do is soften these up and release their natural sugars. So keeping an eye on them. Beautiful. Perfect. Just going to give those veg a couple of minutes more. Then we'll get the pot on. Before that, I need to drain off some of this beautiful dripping and just warm up my stock and grab up all these beautiful bits of caramelized meat. So turn it down to Camp Stove Mark II. Or as I like to call it, just ticking over. Get my veggies in. Strain off just a little bit of that oil, just so I can collect the juices. At the bottom, as you can see, all those lovely bits of caramelized meat. So just a drop of stock in there, just to help it off the bottom and into there. That goes there. This gets turned up. Afterburner's lit. Get the old Rough Rider, about half a pint. Whew. Mr. Weston's finest. So we don't need to season it then. Obviously we season the flour with salt, pepper, mustard powder, obviously the saltiness of the bacon. I'm going to add in a small tin of chopped tomatoes just to add another depth of flavour. And what we need to do is bring that up to the boil. We'll go and pick some herbs from the garden and get it in the oven or on the campfire, either. So directly outside the door of the SRP HQ we can see some bay leaf, and then in here we've got a mixture of rosemary, thyme, some sage. I think we'll have a bit of that and a bit of that. Beautiful. Freshly picked herbage, in. A couple of bay leaves. Just going to give it a bit of that rosemary and a bit of that thyme. So we'll add a dash of Worcester sauce, the finest export from Worcester since the SRP. Never heard of him. Get that in, give it a stir up. Now I've got my oven set to 140 degrees C. I'll put the conversions up there. But all I need to do now basically is get it into my rabbity shaped receptacle and get it in the oven. What a beautiful dish that is. Can't remember where I got it from. Anywho. That, bearing in mind, is pretty much still raw ingredients already. Tastes quite promising. So, I'm going to get it in there. Oh, look at that. Like a glove. Just like that. Better give that a wipe. Put him on and get him in the oven for as long as it takes. Maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours. So all we need to do is just check it periodically. See if we can just stick the point of a knife through it. But yeah, a million miles away from what we started with that suicidal bunny. What am I doing stroking that? Right, into the oven. Okay, now for the moment of truth. This has been in the oven for 2.5 hours. The most awkwardest lid to take off ever. So we can get some of this out. Oh, look at it. Get rid of that bay leaf. And the herbage. Bit of pepper. And a bit of parsley. Should do that creature justice. So I guess the proof is in the pudding. I'm going to try a bit of veg first and the sauce. So good. And a bit of... Oh man. Absolutely spot on. Meat is so tender. We can get a bit there. You can see it just breaks apart. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay then, my friends, I want to sit down and enjoy this properly. It's an absolutely beautiful dish considering what we had to play with. A very sorry looking rabbit. And just the thought on that, you know, the more I look at the pictures, I'm not sure if it was a baby hare, a leveret. It's the length of the ears and those back legs. And I spoke to my mate Coops, who's the man, and even he was like stumped. So yeah, a rabbit or hare, I don't know. But when I got it out the field after it run into my car, it wasn't looking too good. So I hope we've done it justice. Like I said, I had to go and dispatch it. I weren't going to leave it in pain. I weren't going to leave it for the foxes. You know, it ran into my car, so it was up to me to do something with it. And here it is. So, if you've enjoyed this episode of the Scott Reed Project, please click subscribe when my face comes up down here. Also find me on my social medias, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter at the Scott Reed Project. And if you're feeling generous, please do check out my Patreon page to help the channel along. But until next time, my friends, we are going to be doing some curing. Yes, we're going to cure a shoulder of pork and make classic collar bacon. So join me then. Take care, my friends. Right, get some bread on the job.